Okay, so today we're gonna dive into true crime podcasts.
Yeah.
And we're gonna look at two of the biggest ones out there:
Two big ones.
Crime Junkie and My Favorite Murder.
Right.
And the goal is to kind of see how they do it differently
Yeah.
and why people like them so much.
Yeah.
Right? You know,
Yeah.
people who want to learn stuff quickly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And really get some insights into these cases.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we have some info here about the hosts, the format,
Yeah.
the kind of content they do,
Yeah.
the stuff that makes them special.
Yeah, they're unique, they're unique styles, they're unique brands.
Let's start with Crime Junkie.
Okay. So Crime Junkie is hosted by Ashley Flowers and Britt Praywat.
Right.
And they have a really straightforward storytelling style.
Yeah.
And what's great about it is they really, they cover famous cases, but they also cover a lot of lesser known crimes.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things that I like about them.
Yeah.
Is that they don't just do...
Not just the big hitters.
Yeah, the big names. You know.
Right, exactly.
They bring out some things that you've never heard of before.
Mm-hmm.
And Ashley's really good. She's got this narrative control
He does.
that keeps you like...
She's a great storyteller.
Yeah, you're kind of like on the edge of your seat, you know?
Yeah.
You're figuring it out with her, and then Britt will jump in with a question.
Right, yeah. It's
You
like
know.
they're having a conversation.
Yeah.
So you feel like you're part of the conversation.
Exactly.
And it's really well researched, I think.
Yeah.
And the way they present it is it's with a lot of empathy, too, for the victims.
Right.
They cover everything, like missing persons cases, murder, serial killers, unsolved mysteries.
Mm-hmm.
And the episodes are pretty digestible. They're like 30 to 45 minutes.
So it's like, a good commute listen.
Exactly. Yeah, you can fit it in.
Yeah.
To
your day.
I think another reason why they're so popular is they're so consistent. They release a new episode every week, and I think that's really important for listeners.
Yeah, you know when to expect it.
You know when to expect it.
Yeah.
And you can kind of build it into your routine.
Yeah, and I also think that they're really good about focusing on cold cases.
Yes.
And maybe some victims that haven't gotten as much attention.
Yeah, victims that have kind of been forgotten.
And it almost feels like they're trying to get some public interest going in these cases.
Yeah, advocate for them.
Yeah, and maybe something can be done.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting. There was a bit of controversy about their sourcing.
Yeah, a few years ago.
But they still have a ton of fans.
They do.
So people
really like them.
Really into it. Yeah.
I think people really connect with the storytelling, and they connect with Ashley and Britt, and they love the cases they cover.
Okay, well, let's switch gears a little bit.
Okay.
And talk about My Favorite Murder, which is totally different.
Totally, yeah.
So My Favorite Murder is hosted by two comedians,
right?
Karen Kilgariff and Georgia Hardstark.
I'm more familiar with this one.
Okay.
This is where they bring the humor in.
They do.
To true crime.
Yeah, it's a totally different approach.
It is, yeah.
And they have a very dedicated fan base called Murderinos.
The Murderinos.
Yes.
So
their format's a little bit different too.
Yeah, how do they do it?
They usually start with like some housekeeping, or they'll talk about listener-submitted hometown murders.
Oh, okay.
Or stories from their live shows.
Oh, cool.
So it's very community-driven.
Okay.
And then they each present a case that they've researched.
Right.
And it could be anything. It could be historical.
Okay.
It could be a really famous case.
Mm-hmm.
Or it could be something really bizarre.
Yeah.
Or, just something that's not very well known.
Right.
And they have a very conversational style.
Yeah.
It's very informal.
Yeah.
It's like
listening to your friends talk about true crime.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a formal...
No, not at all.
Like presentation or anything like that.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, like using humor in true crime.
Right. It's definitely controversial.
Yeah. Is it okay to laugh at this stuff?
Oh, right. Should you be laughing at this stuff?
Yeah.
But I
think it depends on how you do it.
I think it depends on how you do it.
And it seems like they do it.
And Karen and Georgia are they're very empathetic.
Yeah.
And they actually talk a lot about mental health.
Yeah.
And anxiety.
Yeah.
So
it's not just jokes.
It's not just jokes.
Yeah.
They're using humor to cope with these dark topics.
Right.
And they also do a lot of charitable work.
Oh.
Advocacy for victims.
Yeah.
They have really successful live shows.
Wow.
And they've written best-selling books.
That's cool.
So they've definitely had a big cultural impact.
Yeah, they're huge. They are. Yeah. So we've got Crime Junkie, which is like very straightforward storytelling.
Yeah, just the facts.
Yeah, very suspenseful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then My favorite murder is like...
It's more about their personalities.
Yeah, it's all about them.
Yeah. And
they're funny.
They are funny.
And they make you feel like you're their friend.
It's very relatable.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It's interesting that...
There are these two different approaches.
Yeah. That true crime can be so different.
And they both have these huge audiences.
Yeah.
So I think it just shows that the true crime audience wants different things.
Right. They're looking for different things.
Yeah, some people want that really straight narrative. Yeah. And they want to feel that empathy.
And the suspense.
Right. And then other people want that more personal connection.
Yeah.
And they want to laugh while also learning about true crime.
All right, so quick recap.
Crime Junkie.
Crime Junkies.
Really dives into the cases.
Yeah. Very detailed.
Emotional, empathetic.
Makes you feel it.
Yes. My favorite murder?
My favorite murder is all about the personalities.
Yeah.
It's more conversational. Yeah. They build a community around their show.
They're like your friends.
They're like your friends talking about true crime.
So I guess the final thought here is like...
Wait, what does this tell us about how we as humans deal with these dark topics?
Yeah.
With tragedy.
With true crime.
With true crime.
Why are we so fascinated by this stuff?
Right, and how do we choose to engage with it?
Yeah, do we want to just hear the facts and be scared?
Or do we want to laugh?
Or do we want to feel like we're part of a club?
Right, exactly.
So think about it.
Think about it.
Yeah. What does your favorite true crime podcast say about you? Okay, that's it for our deep dive this week. Thanks for listening.